How It's Built Sailboat by Rebecca Stanborough. We're going to read this book to learn a little bit about sailboats. It's a nonfiction book, so we have a table of contents. Meet the Junior Engineers Club. Sophia, Lucas, Kai, Nisha, Jacob, and Zoe. These 6 friends love learning about how things are built. This is their workshop. A boat is built. Now they're sharing what they learned. A small sailboat takes 2 weeks to build. Hi, I'm Jacob, and this is my friend Nisha. We're going to a sailboat race this weekend. First, we wanted to know about the boats that would be in the race. Architect who designs sailboats, Ray told us that all sailboats have a few parts in common. The mast is the long loop. All the boats in the race will be dinghies like this one. The hull is the bottom of the boat. That's the part that floats in the water. The deck is the top of the boat where the sailor sits. Sails are big pieces of cloth that catch the wind. The front of the boat is called the bow. The back is the stern. The left side is called the port, and the right is called the starboard. Bow is the front, stern is the back, port is the left, starboard is the right. So port being the left, port left, starboard is on the right. Ray explained that the dinghy we were learning about is just one. A sloop has 1 mast and 2 sails. 1 mast, 2 sails. Big sloops have cabins inside their hulls. Schooners, ketches, this boat, yawls, and brigantines all have 2 masts. The main mast near the back of the boat, mizzen mast. A catamaran has 2 hulls. The hulls on a small catamaran are connected by a trampoline. Are connected by a bridge. I went in a catamaran once. We sat on the trampoline. A dinghy is small, 1.5 to 3 7/10 meters long. It has 1 mast and can be sailed by 1 or 2 people. Also keeps waves from flipping the boat. Ray uses a computer when she designs a boat. Dinghies usually have or the letter V. The sides of the hull are curved to help the boat rock back up when the strong gust of wind tips it to one side. And narrow, so it can cut through water like a knife. Remember, it's a U or a V shaped. The boat's weight has to be carefully balanced. The boat might tip too close to the water. Ray showed us some of the materials that are used to build racing dinghies. But the materials also have to be strong. Sunshine, seawater, and wind can cause a lot of damage. The glass is mixed with plastic and rolled into mats. Fiberglass is used to build hulls and decks. Aluminum is a light metal that is used. Water will not make holes in the aluminum. Resin is a sticky coating that is painted on the outside of the boat. When resin dries and hardens, Sailors pull ropes called lines to move the sails. The lines are made of long strings of polyester that are twisted together to make them strong. Polyester. Polyester stretches so it can catch the wind without ripping. Resin looks super messy and super sticky. The engineer in charge of building the dinghy. Lewis explained that to build a fiberglass boat, the builders first had to make two molds. One was for the hull and hull. I can see the shape of the boat. Most sailboats today are made of fiberglass, but some are made of wood. Builders don't use a mold. Once the molds were ready, the builders could make the deck and the hull. They completed the same process for each. First, boat builders inside the mold will ultimately be the outside of the boat. After the paint dried, the builders laid fiberglass cloth inside the mold. This process. Next, the first layer of cloth was covered with resin. Sometimes the resin is sprayed on, sometimes it's painted on by hand. Then the builders repeated. After the layers had hardened, that part of the boat was ready to be popped out of the mold. It takes many layers of fiberglass. It's amazing. The fiberglass started out so soft. The boat builders cut any extra fiberglass off the deck and hull. Trimming and polishing. Next, the builders lifted the deck over the hull and lowered it until both parts of the boat fit together. They used glue. Trimming and polishing are not just about making the boat pretty. The boat needs to be perfectly smooth so it can move quickly through the water. I can't wait to see when it is done. Next, we visited the mast workshop. The mast is made from aluminum that has been shaped into a tube, in a storm. Most large sailboats have a wind indicator at the top of the mast. That instrument allows the sailor to determine the boat's course. Is the mast narrower at the top? Yes, so it can bend with the wind. After the mast workshop, Lewis and sails are made. This dinghy will have just one sail. First, sail makers designed the sail on a computer. The computer helps them see how a sail makers used a machine called a plotter to draw the shape of the sail on a long piece of cloth. Next, a laser cut out the sail in the small sails made from one piece of cloth. Bigger sailboats have bigger sails. Those are made of many pieces stitched together. Rings through the cloth. Ropes and wires will pull through the rings to make it easier to raise and lower the sails. Maybe fun, maybe, but that step must be very precise. It was time for the finishing touches. First, the boat bolt is thin under the boat. It keeps the wind from pushing the boat from side to side and folds up when it's not in use. Then, steer the boat, and finally the builders attached the mast and sail. I guess the rudder is sort of like a steering wheel. It doesn't look like one, though. We must have a number on the sail and the hull. It's an international race, or in an international race, the sail must also have home country. Finally, the day of the race was here. The entire Junior Engineers Club went strong, and so were the dinghies. It was going to be a great race. Machinery and tools. Wood for large boats that have cabins and wood decks. A sander uses electricity to spin gritty sandpaper. It scrapes the splinters off wood to make many uses. It can be used to spray resin into the mold, and it can also be used to coat the mold with gel paint. A crane is a heavy machine. A drill is a small tool that can be used to attach hardware to the hull, deck, and mast. And the trailer, when the boat's finished, a boat to the water. The world's first sailboats. People have been building sailboats for more than 6,000 years. Was usually made from the most readily available materials in the area. So this was the ancient Egyptian sailboat, used square sails made from reeds that grew by the river. They used a long oar at the back of the boat to steer. Here's the long oar. Then we have head sails made from bamboo. These sails were dipped in plant dye to make them yellow or red. Chinese sailors were the first to use rubber. In the cold Arctic lands, boats called umiaks were made of wood. They were covered with seal skin or walrus skin to keep out the water. Not all those that did had sails made of animal skins or guts. The Viking sailboat was built from wood too. Sails on of sheep's wool.